Welcome back to the Fight Society podcast. I'm Damon Martin, and I'm joined once again by my co-host Matt Brown. Matt, back in the saddle.
I know, but where's my intro song, bro?
Well, here's the thing. The last time I talked to you, you ended up using it for your fight, but the last time you talked to me, you're all nervous about bad luck using the song and all this stuff. So I've been using Zach Wilde, which I know you love Zach Wilde, so I just went with that. So
I can accept the Zach Wilde. I can't get mad about that, bro. It's Zach Wilde.
I mean, come on, it's Zach Wilde. Come on, you can't really get upset about that one.
Can't get mad about Zach.
What's going on, man? So you out in Vegas?
In Vegas, getting a skull tattoo. My 13th one for the 13th knockout. Headed to LA tomorrow and back home the next day. So traveling around, man, living the good life.
I'm getting tattooed in 2 weeks.
What you getting?
The last time I got tattooed, I got the House Stark symbol on my left leg, and I'm getting House Targaryen tattooed on my right leg. So I got the dire wolf now, and I'm getting the 3-headed dragon in 2 weeks. So
you're really personifying nerdcore, huh?
Exactly, dude. I mean, come on, I live it every day. I might as well ink it on my body. So you know,
bro, you live it, man. I love it.
And then getting ready to head to Detroit this weekend for UFC 218. Heading out there on Saturday morning to go out there for the fight, so that should be fun.
Nice. You just going out there for yourself, or are you covering for some?
I'm working it, but I'm just going up for the day. We were going to go up early for some of the media stuff, but obviously I'm working with Flow Combat, and they had some stuff come up, and so I just it's a 3-hour drive. So I was like, I'll just go up on Saturday, watch the fights, do the presser, come home, so that way I don't have to deal with hotels and. Detroit's Detroit, but that way I can just kind of go to the fights and come back, so.
Dude, how about those fights this weekend?
Good fights this weekend, man. Max Holloway, Jose Aldo. You got Ngannou and Overeem. It's a good card.
Fuck, dude. Who you got?
I like Holloway to win. I thought I picked him to win the last time, and one thing that Max said to me that I agree with is, Jose had every advantage going into that last fight. The fight was in Brazil, so he didn't have to travel. He didn't have to deal with time differences. He didn't have to deal with any of that stuff, and Max still won. So I don't think it's going to be any more, to an advantage for Jose to take this fight on short notice. I know he's getting ready for a fight in 2 weeks, but it wasn't a 5-round fight, and it wasn't Max Holloway. It was Ricardo Lamas, so completely different kind of guy. I like Max to win it again. And then with the other one, man, I got to be honest, man. I think Ngannou's a beast, dude, but I'm having a hard time picking against Overeem, man. I think Ngannou's good, but, man, I mean, his biggest win is, Arlovsky, and no offense, but Arlovsky isn't the same guy he was even 2-3 years ago. So if he beats Overeem, I'll be a believer, but I think I got to lean Overeem in that fight.
Nice. All right. I'll go opposites on both of them then. Fuck it. Let's go.
Haven't you learned your lesson by picking Aldo against me? Was that 3 times in a row? You keep missing.
Come on. I know, man. My boy Aldo keeps leaving me hanging over here, man.
I think the last 3 times we picked an Aldo fight was the Holloway fight, the McGregor fight, now this rematch.
Well, no, I'm hurting here, huh? I'm hurting. All right. But, man, I just think Aldo, man, he was winning that first fight. I thought he was doing well, and he got caught, I guess, so to speak. I hate fucking saying that, but, he was doing well, man. I think he learned his lesson. I think he's going to be a little bit safer and be a little sharper this time.
He won the first round. His gas tank got to him. You know what I mean? He got a little, conditioning got to him.
Maybe. I mean, he got punched in the face pretty hard. That usually fuck your conditioning up.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, though, because it's funny. Both guys were preparing for short wrestlers. Max was preparing for Frankie Edgar, and Jose is preparing for Lamas, and now they're fighting each other. So it's kind of a weird, like, both of them didn't really gain much, you know what I mean? Like, neither one of them was preparing for anything that would really help them with this guy.
Absolutely, yeah. And then the Ngannou, Arlovsky, Overeem, it's like whoever lands the first punch is just going to win that shit, right?
Yeah. Yeah, Ngannou's scary because he's so powerful. What worries me is I can't figure out how good he is because he's just so physically gifted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm just is he getting by just being bigger and stronger and he just lands a punch before the other guy does, or is he actually that good?
Yep, and I think we're going to find out a lot with this fight. And I'm 50-50 on it, but I'll go Ngannou just to spite you.
That's how we roll in this show. That's how we roll in this show.
How you pick. That's how I pick now. Whatever you pick, I'll just pick the opposite.
Yeah. Well, it hasn't worked out for you too well. You picked Pacquiao. You picked Aldo against McGregor.
All right, you're pulling out the big ones here.
I am.
It's the little ones that matter. You gotta do quantity, not quality over here.
Although you did pick Holly Holm originally to beat Ronda Rousey, but then you went back on your own pick like a week later. So
yeah, I know. I need more confidence in my betting style here.
Are you picking Holly Holm to beat Chris Cyborg?
Boy, I think I think a lot of people count Holly Holm out again in that fight, and I'm not counting her out. That's for sure. I think stylistically, she's probably one of the tougher fights out there for Cyborg. That's for sure, because she's a good mover, good counter puncher, hard to catch. Cyborg's a very straightforward, big punch person, and obviously, if she catches you with that, that's going to be the end of that night. But is she going to catch her with it? I don't know. I could see Holly pulling out a decision there. Something boring, probably nothing exciting. If it gets exciting, it's Cyborg's favor.
Yeah, I'm with you. I actually think Holly has a shot. As aggressive as Cyborg gets, as long as Holly doesn't end up pinned against the cage, which is the last place she wants to be, she's got a shot. Because if she can move away and make Cyborg chase her, she's got a shot. She just can't get trapped.
Very clear game plan, right? We know exactly what Holly needs to do, and if she can do it, she's going to win. She's got to stay back, move around, not get cut off, not get pushed against the cage. Cyborg takes her down. That's bad news. Very bad news for Holly.
Yeah, it's a good fight, though. I think it's a lot better than a lot of people are giving it credit for. Like, everyone assumes Cyborg's going to win, but I think Holly's one of those fighters where she's a tough matchup for certain people. Now, we've seen her get beaten in other fights, but like fighters like Rousey, who is very aggressive, and Cyborg, who's very aggressive, like that's playing into what Holly does well. She's a good counter striker.
Man, is Cyborg undefeated? Has anybody ever beat her in MMA?
One time, like her second fight, like 10 years ago or something like that. Like, yeah, she has like one loss on her record like a decade ago. So kind of like Aldo did before the McGregor fight. He had been undefeated for like 11 years or something. So
yeah, I was just saying, man, because if you just think of a blueprint to beat Cyborg, and you think of you can't go straight on lock horns with her. You got to move. You got to stay away, jab. All the things that Holly does really well.
Yeah.
The issue is being able to do that, right? Cyborg is just a fucking machine. And, I mean, she's a cyborg.
Yeah. Well, it's weird because in a weird way, like, you got to imagine, as big of a star as Holly Holm could have been after the Rousey fight, and then she ended up losing her next two fights in a row. But, like, with everything that's happened in divisions right now, I mean, you got Joanna just lost, which was a shocker. You know what I mean? She lost her
motherfucker. I called that one.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, she was like the long-term champion. I'm saying, like, you know what I mean? Like, she lost. Ronda's gone. Amanda Nunes is there, but let's just be honest. She hasn't exactly been drawing like big crowds or anything. They're about to crown a new champion in Vegas on Friday night in the flyweight division, but who knows if that's going to pay off in terms of like draw right away. Cyborg's the biggest star in the division right now. You know what I mean? Like, you wonder, like, is the UFC kind of like, man, I hope she can hold on to that title because they basically created this division for her.
That's an interesting thought. Yeah. What exactly is going with Jermaine over there, man? I know she got another fight, right?
Well, she did. So here's the deal. She's going back to 135. She had the hand surgery finally, and there was a rumor she was going to get matched up with that girl, Ketlin Vieira, the one who fought Sarah McMahon earlier this year and submitted her, which was kind of a shocking submission. There was a rumor she was going to fight her. Her manager says she never agreed to the fight. She never accepted the fight because she was still undergoing treatment for her hand surgery because she was still recovering from that. So last I heard is that Jermaine is still recovering from the hand injury, and assuming she gets healed up, then she's going to fight early next year. But she's going back to bantamweight. She's done at 145. Like, she basically went to 145 to do a favor for the UFC, and then didn't want to fight Cyborg and wanted to go back to bantamweight. So she's going to go back to bantamweight sometime next year.
So, okay. What'd you think of the whole thing with her not fighting Cyborg? And because we never really caught up on that. We were on the outs, you know.
Yeah.
We were
we were on the outs. That means you were training for a fight. Yeah, listen, man, I'm not, if you're going to 145 for any reason, you got to know you're going to fight Chris Cyborg. I mean, it's like that's like 2 years ago saying I'm going to go to 145, but I don't want to fight Jose Aldo, or I'm going to 135 and I don't want to fight Dominic Cruz, or, you know what I mean? Like, you go to 145, you got to know you're fighting Chris Cyborg, and you can't make excuses after winning the belt and then suddenly say, well, I'm worried about her doing steroids, and I'm worried about, her history of Pete. I just don't buy it. You knew what you were getting into when you went to that division.
Yeah, it sucks because I wanted to see that fight, man.
Yeah.
That really was the fight, because Jermaine obviously she's a fucking monster on the feet, too.
She is. That's the disappointing part about it. I think it would have been a good fight.
Yeah, that's the worst part, huh? Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. We didn't get really caught up on that. I'm sure you did your news on the podcast without me and everything, but.
So what are you? So you're out in Vegas right now, and you're going out to LA after this. You're like the traveling man right now. Yeah,
it's my life, man. As a fighter, you go around, do what you can do. Looking out there, we're opening the Muscle Farm facility out there. There's going to be a fight to win at the Muscle Farm facility this weekend. So I'll be there for that. I'm going to talk to them and see about me potentially even moving out there and being a part of Muscle Farm still, and maybe building a Muscle Farm fight team. Maybe a lot of different options, man. Maybe, I don't want to say too much right now, give away too much. We'll get out there, and maybe next week I'll have a lot better answers for everybody, and maybe I'll have some big announcement or something next week. Who knows?
Yeah, I told everyone you were coming back and doing the show, which everyone was super excited about. But of course, everyone's been asking, like, how was the aftermath, man? After that knockout, dude, that was one of the greatest knockouts in UFC history. The elbow from hell, the Hellbow, as they've now coined it, the Matt Brown Hellbow on Diego Sanchez.
Yeah, the aftermath's been me being very gluttonous and lazy and just enjoying the holidays, man. Thanksgiving. My wife, unfortunately, had to go out of town for Thanksgiving. She got back on Thanksgiving Day. She had a friend that passed away, overdosed on heroin. So, that's what a horrible fucking thing this is in America. But I feel like just about everybody knows someone that's either been addicted, or died from it. And, I have my own experiences. And so, not to get off track, that's just a horrible thing. So, that's kind of where I've been. I had to spend a few days. I did all Thanksgiving by myself. So, been very busy, spent a lot of time with the family, been having a lot of good times. But, man, getting a lot of props for the elbow. But again, I got to go back to Ben. Thanks, Diego. This guy came in. He's a fucking warrior, man. I love the guy. I hope the best for him. So, it's hard to say anything about it without. I don't want to bring Diego down, man. He's such a warrior, and I want to see him come up.
Yeah, it's a weird thing because, I know going into the fight, everyone was talking about retirement. I know you had said that. But then afterwards, everyone's telling Diego, well, maybe it's time to call it a career. And I'm one of those people, I think I've said it one time, since I've been doing podcasting for like 12 years. One time I said I thought Ken Shamrock should retire because I was kind of getting a little worried about him as he got past 40 and he got knocked out a couple times. And I was like, man, I like Ken. I don't know him that well. It's not like we're best friends or anything. But I was like, man, I just don't want to see the guy get hurt. I just didn't want to see the guy like, he's 45, I think, at the time. He's getting knocked out. And I'm just like, dude, I don't want to see that. But like a guy like Diego, like the guy's been through some wars. He's still, relatively young. He's 35, I think, 34, 35. I don't think people should tell him to retire. I mean, be cautious, if you get knocked out like that, like take time off. Like I'm not saying he should come back in 3 months or maybe take some time off, make sure your head's healthy, but I'm just not a big fan of people telling people to retire. I get it, you're doing it because you care about them, but at the same time it's like, like it's their life, and as long as they're doing it medically safe, like they're not just rushing back in and they're not fighting with a concussion, something like that. Like, that's what I worry about. But, I'm not going to tell the guy to retire.
I think the other part, especially with someone like Diego, is not so much just the wars it's been in and everything, but it's also like it's not. They're not just saying, "Hey, retire, man." They're maybe they're kind of saying, if you're not going to retire, maybe be a little bit more judicious about who you fight. Right?
Yeah.
You don't need to be fighting the Matt Browns, right? Like, you don't need the wars like that. That's what everybody wanted that fight for. That's what people were watching when they tuned in to me and Diego. They thought this is going to be a bloody fucking war. Diego doesn't need any more of that shit, right? What he needs is guys that are going to give him a grappling match. Guys, that's where he excels anyway. Guys that are going to, most Diego fights are probably going to end up being a war anyway, regardless. But, he's just the right matchups, right? Like, he needs the right guys that are going to be in there and give him the right looks. Not guys like me. And I knew that when they made the fight. I was happy for the fight. I needed to win, and I needed to get back in there and have a good performance. And I knew Diego was a really good matchup for me personally.
Yeah. Do you remember his fight with John Fitch back in the day, like, several years ago? Do you remember that fight? Like, that was a fun fight. Like, that was a grappling heavy fight, but that was a really fun fight.
Or Nick Diaz.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that was Carl Parisian. Hell yeah, those are some great fights. Like, they're still.
Those were fucking battles, man. Like, the battles that Diego needs that are still exciting. And there's fights out there that he could do like that. Someone like me, he's not going to have that chance. And I guess I can understand where he would think that he would have that type of chance. But, I'll straight say, like people haven't seen what I'm really capable of, and then, we don't need to turn this whole thing into something about me, but, I mean, that's a fact, man. People just haven't seen everything out of me.
Yeah, well, like I said, Diego's a legend, man. I kind of hope he goes back to 155 too. I mean, that's the other thing. Like, you could definitely see the size difference. Like, you were so much bigger than him, man. When you stepped in the octagon, it was like really apparent there was a big size difference. Like, because when Diego fought at welterweight, back in the day, I mean, guys have changed a lot, man. Like, like where you're at welterweight is different than I said this to somebody else the other day talking about Jens Pulver. I said, Jens Pulver was the lightweight champion. Now, if you put Jens Pulverstead next to Conor McGregor or Khabib Nurmagomedov, it would look like they're in two different weight classes. Like two weight classes apart is how big they are different. You know what I mean?
And that's he's the smallest guy I've ever fought. That's for sure.
Yeah.
At 170.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know that 170 is going to be the best place for him because 170, man, we've said this before, man, it's a fucking shark pit, and it's a lot bigger guys who hit a lot harder. That's probably not the guys you want to get hit by.
No. And, again, man, Diego's a warrior, and I hope the best for him. But, yeah, he should be, he shouldn't have been a 170 to start with. You're right. I mean, if you can make 145, you should not be a 170, period.
Yeah.
And you can fight Matt Brown.
didn't work out too well for him, but you got a bonus too. You got the $50,000 bonus. So that's always a nice gift.
Yeah, when you get a $50,000 bonus, you start talking in the third person.
Well, what Matt Brown's going to do with his money this weekend is Matt Brown's going to go to the track, and Matt Brown is going to bet on the ponies.
What Matt Brown did was I bought a new truck.
There you go. What kind of truck did you get?
I needed a new fucking truck, man, for a long time. I've been suffering in an old-ass truck because I spent a lot of money on my wife's minivan. So I got a brand new, 2017 Colorado Z71 Midnight Edition. And that's a lot to kind of take in, I guess. But the Colorado is the off-road edition. It comes with it's all blacked out. It's got lights on top, off-road, fucking beast of a truck. Just 6-cylinder, but it's one of the better off-road trucks until you get over into the world like Jeeps and Rubicons, where purely off-road type thing. It's more like a car, but
yeah,
off-road too. So
4-wheel drive, I assume.
Well, yeah, of course. I'm back to the third person. Matt Brown don't go without 4-wheel drive.
Well, you live in Colorado right now. You gotta have 4-wheel drive living there. Shit, you can't deal with me. I know one day it's like 70 and the next day it's 20, but there's a lot of snow out in Colorado.
True. You can actually. That's the funny part, man. Colorado, specifically Denver. I don't know the other parts of Colorado, but honestly, man, it's one of the top 3 sunniest cities in the country.
Yeah, it's crazy too.
They don't plow the fucking streets that much. Hardly at all. Like, when we first moved there, we got 12 inches of snow, and they're not plowing the streets. And we're sitting there like, what the hell is going on? Well, because it got sunny the next day, and all the snow on the streets melted. So it's like it's not even worth plowing the streets, which you're an Ohio guy. The whole East Coast, that's ridiculous, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's insane. It's insanity. But anyway, yeah, so, man, Colorado's a great place, but you really don't have to have 4-wheel drive out there unless you want to do the thing. You'll have a few days where you'll actually need it, but it's not as big of a deal as you would think, actually, funny enough.
Yeah. So where are you at right now, man? I know everyone, if we did the podcast, I didn't ask you where your head's at personally, people would bitch at me for the next 3 days straight. So where's your head at right now, man? I know you were talking about retirement. Where's your head at right now? What are we sitting, like 3 weeks out from the fight?
Yeah, about 3 weeks out. And, yeah, if everybody bitches at you, tell them fuck off, because I can't say I have an answer right now, to be honest. We'll probably have to do a podcast where I put more thought into it, to be honest, and we could sit down and have a serious conversation about it, where I really just need to think about it a lot more, because, like I said before the fight, it can't be. I'm not going to come back for one fight. I'm not going to come back just do a fight, right? That's not me. I'm going to come back. If I come back, it's going to be for a title run. I know that I have it in me. I mean, I don't want to. I'm not going to sit here and try to convince people. Maybe they believe me or they don't. Like, I have the fucking tools, skills, everything that I need to be a champion. I didn't accomplish that, and that's what bothers me, is I haven't accomplished what I'm capable of accomplishing. So that's my motivator and my driver to come back. Now, whether I have the energy, time, if I'm willing to sacrifice that time away from my children, that time away from my family, my wife, that's another thing. And that's where I got to put it all together and say, is it really worth all that? Because to go for a championship run, I don't know how other guys do it, but for me, that requires an intense dedication and sacrifice, and they have to sacrifice with me. So that's something that just needs to be thought about and pondered on and talked about with the wife and family and the close friends, and you just got to go all in one way or the other. You can't have half your eggs in 2 baskets. You got to have them all in one. So that's kind of where I think I've been for a while. And I could go really deep into this. I'm not at the point right now where I want to, because I got to clarify my thoughts a lot more. But soon we'll get, maybe the next podcast we do, we'll get a lot deeper, and I'll explain to you a lot more of my thoughts on that. But I really need to clarify those thoughts and make sure that they are where they need to be.
The funny thing is, the weird part about it is like, the best thing I can say is you're in a good spot, man. You know what I mean? You're in a good spot. If you want to make a run for it, there are a million fights out there people want to see you fight. I said this the other day. I think I said it to you right after you announced that you were going to retire. I said, one of my biggest regrets in life if Matt retires is we never got to see you fight Carlos Condit, because Carlos is coming back in December. That's still a fight. I would still watch the fuck out of that fight. You know what I mean? Or, on the flip side, if you decide to call it a career, you're going off on a huge win. You just knocked out a legend. $50,000 bonus. You got, coaching and some other stuff you do. So, my opinion is, man, you're in a good spot. Do what the fuck you want. Like, you're in a good spot right now. Like, hold your head high, man. You got fucking options.
Yeah, and to be honest, that's one of the toughest things about it, is because I have all good options, and that's how do you make a decision when you have all good options in front of you, right?
Yeah, it's true.
So you look at all your options, and you're like, here's the pros and cons. And there's just so few cons in each option. So that's a sort of the tough thing. And then the only and then here's where it gets more difficult is that the cons that you will find is basically comes down to finances. And that's the one con that you don't want to be focused on, right? Like
right.
You don't want to make a choice based on finance, on money. And of course you have to. It's there's a lot of things that go into that. Sometimes you have to, and there's things you have to sacrifice for money, and have a family. So money is something that is a necessity when you have a family. I think before you have a family, and I didn't realize this until I had a family, but until you have kids that you're responsible for, when you're just responsible for yourself, it's fucking easy, man. There's, you could be broke as shit, not pay your rent. I mean, you're gonna find a way. But finding a way for a child that you're responsible for whether they have food on their table or not is a different thing. So anyway, long story short, I don't want it to be about finances, and that's what makes it the most difficult thing. So, like you said, I have all good options, a lot of great opportunities in front of me. I'll just take one and run with it, and we'll see which one that ends up being.
Yeah. I don't have kids, but I am getting a dog, so there's my level of responsibility coming up soon. I'm getting a dog soon. That's something.
I can tell you, there's a lot of parallels. You can draw a lot of parallels between the dog and children, but it's like the difference between having a scooter and a fucking semi truck.
Well, I'm not having kids, so the dog's as far as I'm getting. But I'm getting a dog, so that's something. I got some responsibility coming.
Are you getting a toy dog?
No, we're getting a Boston Terrier.
That's most a toy dog.
It's a smaller. Well, we have an apartment, so we can't. It'd be. I'm a big believer in we want a bigger dog, but we're gonna wait till we buy a house. We want to get a big dog and a small dog. But I think it's cruel to have a big dog in an apartment. I just think it's they don't have any room to move around. Our apartment's big. We have a good space. But I just if you're gonna get a golden retriever or a German Shepherd or a big dog, you gotta have some room. You gotta have a backyard. You know what I mean? You gotta have some room for it to move around. I just feel it's cruel to put a dog like that. So we're getting a Boston Terrier, and then we're gonna.
Or you gotta spend your whole day outside with them, fucking around with them.
So we're starting out with a Boston Terrier and going from there. It's a good, it's not a tiny dog. It's a little bit bigger than that, but it's also not a super expensive dog. Because I found dude, it's so funny. I've never owned a dog. And I remember growing up, I always wanted a dog, but my dad wouldn't let me have one because we live right next to the highway in Ohio, down in down where I'm from in Lucasville. We lived right next to a highway, so my dad would never let me get a dog.
Wait,
he was worried.
Lucasville?
Yeah, originally.
Oh, go on. I didn't know that.
So he was always basically saying the dog would get out and run to the highway and get hit. You know what I mean? We didn't have fences or anything. We just had a big open yard. So they never let me get a dog. So I just never had a dog. And I lived in apartments, whatever. I never got a dog. But now that I'm looking at dogs, you know what I realized? I'm not saying I didn't realize this just now, when I'm looking for a dog. But goddamn, purebred dogs are expensive. Shit.
Fuck yeah.
I knew they were expensive, but I didn't know they were that expensive.
Yeah, they are that expensive for sure. Yep. Yeah.
I was like, gee, this is like having a kid. Fuck.
Dude, the worst part about it is that the non-purebreds, the mutts, are actually healthier dogs too. You'll end up with less. They're usually better dogs too. You'll end up with less expenses in the long run with them.
Yeah. We looked at a couple of pounds and everything, but just didn't, my thing is, and, my whole thing was I really wanted a puppy, you know what I mean? I've never had a dog. I wanted to kind of raise it from birth, you know what I mean? And a lot of the pounds when you go there, there's not puppies, you know what I mean? When you go to any of the, shelters and stuff, it's older dogs, not older, but you know what I mean? Not, and that's, I don't know, it's just kind of important for my first dog. I want to be able to, raise it from a puppy so I can kind of learn, what I'm doing, you know what I mean? This is the first time I'm doing this. It's I want to do it the right way. I want to know how I'm raising a dog.
Well, the puppy's the worst part, so.
Oh, I know. Trust me, I know. But we're prepared, man. I mean, it's so funny. Like, it's like we are getting a kid. I've already been buying all the shit for the house, and I got fucking dog toys already laying around places and stuff. So it's like we're getting ready for a kid, except we're getting a dog. So
Nice. All right. Well, yeah, you'll find that it's a lot of reward, but it's a lot of fucking work.
it is. It is. You got 3 kids now, though, dude. I don't want to hear about a lot of work, all the work you put in.
You know that it's almost like how people say it's a lot of work to fight, and man, I don't consider that shit work. I consider it living. You know what I mean? My kids, like, it ain't even work to me. It's living.
Yeah.
Just like when I fight, it ain't work. I go to the gym. If I had $1 billion in the bank, I'd go to the gym all the same.
Yeah.
You know, I'd wake up and walk my kids to school all the same. You know what I mean? Like, to me, that shit ain't work, man. What work is like some shit you don't want to do.
That's true. That's right. What is the old saying? If you love your job, it's never work, or something like that. Like, if you love your job, it's never like you're going to work anyways. So
Exactly. That's exactly it, man. And I don't get enough time with my kids. Man, my wife, like I said, she had to leave for a funeral over Thanksgiving. She got back on Thanksgiving Day. I had to do all Thanksgiving. I was Mr. Mom for like 3 days. So I changed all the diapers and, woke the kids up and every fucking thing that a mom does and that a dad does too. And I loved it, man. I was in my zone, man. I was having a good time, like having a blast with the kids, and it didn't feel like work at all to me.
You ever seen that movie Mr. Mom with Michael Keaton back in the day?
I have not, actually.
Oh, dude, you got to see it. It's a classic 80s movie. You fit right in, changing diapers and fucking ironing and shit. That's you right now, dude. You're Mr. Mom.
Well,
You're new.
I ain't doing no fucking ironing. You're going to wear some wrinkly ass clothes. I don't give a shit about if they're clean, you put them on. I don't care about it.
Yeah, that's when you know it's a guy in charge. Like when the kids are going to school with like wrinkled clothes and shit, and they're like, "Yeah, my dad dressed me." That's, you're like, "Yeah, is it clean? Does it stink bad? You're going to school in. I don't really care."
Or they're wearing some shit that's completely just irrelevant, like from like 7-year-old kids wearing their shit from when they were 4.
They got shirts on 2 sizes too small.
Yeah. That's pretty much what goes down. But really, honestly, my kids run around their underwear in my house most of the time. Like when the wife ain't around, I'm like, what do you get dressed for, bro? Like, you're gonna fucking throw cereal on yourself anyway. So.
That's funny. That's funny. So just this crazy shit going on with your boy Conor McGregor. Have you been keeping up on this story that's been going on this week?
No, man. I'm chilling, bro. I ain't keeping up on none of it.
So there's this rumor that was going around that last weekend he got into a fight at an Irish pub in Dublin. Now, I don't buy it because Dana White said yesterday, he said, anything Conor does these days is news. You know what I mean? He walks down the street, there's 1 million cameras in his face, phones, whatever. So if he went into a bar and got into a fight, you're guaranteed there's going to be, 20 people with cameras out and phones and whatever recording it. So, but anyways, the rumor is he went into a pub in Dublin and got into a fight with a guy and beat up a guy, and then another guy tried to stop and he beat that guy up. And the guy he beat up, kind of secondarily, was like the uncle of a famous mobster in Ireland. And so now there's all these rumors that like the Irish mob is going to go after Conor McGregor. Now, once again, let me say 2 things. 1, it's just a rumor. And 2, I still don't believe it's actually true. But how crazy is, like, that's what Conor's apparently, that's the rumor that Conor's into now, is he's getting into trouble with the Irish mob.
I like it. All right. I mean, hey, that's what happens when you get famous, right? Everybody's got some bullshit story.
Here's my problem. Somebody said there was a story out, somebody put a story out that there was already a hit on Conor. Like the Irish mob put a hit out on Conor. Now, I'm no mob expert. I've read a lot of mob books and I've watched a lot of mob movies. Like, I love mob stuff. If the mob puts a hit on you, no one knows about it until either you're dead or somebody testifies about it in court. Like, no one's just like, they didn't just, you know what I mean? Like, they're not just going to put out a hit and then 2 days later, everyone's going to know about it. You know, like the mob is not stupid.
Like the mob doesn't have a Twitter. We're going to put a hit on you, bro.
Yeah. Conor, you better watch out. We're coming for you. There's a $900,000 reward. Like, as soon as I heard that, I was like, come on. Like, you know, it's just like, dude, they're not going to, like, that's not how the mob works. Like, watch any mob movie and you know they're not, like, calling their friends, like, dude, we're putting a hit on this fucking guy, man. Watch, it's going to be awesome.
Mob in the world anymore? I know there's, like, Yakuza, kind of, but come on, really? How much mob is in the fucking world? It's 2017. This ain't 1930 when Prohibition and shit anymore.
There is. I mean, there's still mob in the world. I mean, it's still out there. I mean, there's definitely like a dude. I remember.
What do they do? Like, what does a mob do, though?
Well, it's like, you know, loan sharking and sports betting because that's still not legal in most places.
Yes,
you know,
that's what I mean. They're not. I mean, it's not like the Iceman over here, fucking putting out hits and killing people and going back to Thanksgiving dinner and. You know what I mean?
It's a lot of gambling, you know, people putting up gambling establishments, you know what I mean? And then loan sharking, I imagine, is a big part of it because, you know, you can't go to a bank to get the money you need and, you know, they give you a loan and then they kind of keep you on the chain for it forever, you know, kind of paying the VIG. I don't know. I mean, you know, they did, like, back in the day, it was like protection services, you know what I mean? Like, you go into businesses and say, you pay me X amount of dollars per month and, you know, no one will fuck with your store. You know, and then they were the ones who were fucking with your store. You know, like,
what's going on these days?
The
one thing I think that a lot of them are doing now is this human trafficking shit, and that's the shit that's. I mean, that's deep right there, man. That's hardcore.
That's fucked up. Well, did you see that story about that girl who got convicted or tried for? I think the story is somebody sold her into sex slavery. And then somebody sold her to some dude when she was like 15, and she eventually like got away from him and then killed the guy who bought her.
Nice.
And now she's being tried for murder. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, I was like, how does that work?
Yeah, I mean, they got to uphold the law, though, right? I mean, you can't just go kill people if they did you wrong. Right?
If someone tried to buy somebody I know for sex slavery and they revolted and killed him, I'd kill him. I wouldn't feel bad about it one bit.
I'd kill him too, but I'd go to prison for it, and I'd be okay with that because the fact is, man, where do you draw the line? Where do you say like, oh, that was okay for you to kill and that one wasn't?
Yeah, it's just like when you think about that kind of story, it's just like, you know what I mean? Like that's kind of one of those times where you're just like. You want to be like, you know what, like, you know, you probably shouldn't have killed him, but hey, you get a pass, you know? Like,
I know, right?
You know, I know. Like, you get that get out of jail free card like Monopoly, you know? Like, get out of jail. You know, we're okay with that guy being gone, you know what I mean? Like, man, it's crazy, but you're right. Like, human trafficking, like, dude, but that's the thing, like, when it comes to illegal money, like, people will do anything, you know what I mean? Like, no, you know, so, yeah, the mob may not seem like it, but that's the other thing about this whole Conor McGregor thing. As you said, the mob doesn't seem to be around as much, right? Like, no one really hears about as much. Like, you don't hear about, like, John Gotti back in the early 90s. Like, everyone knew who he was. And, you know, so that's another reason why I don't buy this story. Because if the mob is still around, and they're going to be very quiet, they don't want to be on the police's radar. You know what I mean? They don't want to be on the cops' radar. Killing Conor McGregor is pretty much a guaranteed way of you landing on every fucking cop's radar in Ireland.
I was going to say, that of all the people you're going to kill, he's going to be the most famous guy in your fucking country.
Yeah, like, you know what I mean?
Like, is the American mob going to kill Tom Brady? I don't think so.
That's like the American mob saying, we put a $900,000 hit out on The Rock. You know, Dwayne Johnson, we're going to take him out because no one knows who that guy is. No one would ever miss him.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I just don't buy it. Like, I'm just like, people keep talking about it. I'm just like, people, like, do you understand, like, A, if it was the mob, like, they're not going to tell anybody they're putting a hit on this guy. And two, as pissed off as they might be, the mob is not going to go after a freaking celebrity like that. Like, I'm sure that, you know, there's like, because at the end of the day, like, the billions of dollars they're making or millions or whatever it is they're making probably isn't worth having the police breathe down their neck for killing Conor freaking McGregor. Like, come on now.
Yeah, you just got to wonder how the story started, though, huh? There's always some truth in there somewhere, right?
I mean, I don't know. I just have a hard time. Like, in this day and age, man, like, you can't go anywhere. Like, dude, if you walked into a bar right now and punched somebody, within 2 hours, 3 hours, we would all be hearing about Matt Brown punching a dude in the bar, and there'd be video of it. There'd be somebody with a phone of you, like with your fist up, something. You're telling me Conor McGregor can walk into a pub, get into a fight with like 3 dudes, knock 2 people out, and no one has a video of this? No one has a picture of this? Like, come on. So, yeah, so I don't know. We'll see what happens with Conor. So, one other thing, we always like to talk about shit that doesn't have anything to do with MMA. We always talk about music. Did you see the fucking Grammy nominations?
Oh, God, no. I wouldn't even... Fuck, man. I'm a music lover. That's why I don't watch the Grammys.
But here's the reason I'm bringing it up, okay? No one will ever pay attention to this because I hate the Grammys too. But check out, for Best Metal Performance, 2 people got nominated. 3 people got nominated, I know for a fact you like. Mastodon, Meshuggah, and Code Orange.
Okay. Yeah, so, but, man, you know what the problem is, in my opinion, man? You can't fucking give an award for art.
Yeah.
I fucking hate that, man. You can't. It's way too subjective. You know what I mean? You can't fucking try to rank art.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
It's weird too because
they're trying to say the best. That's the best. It's not the best. Even Mastodon, there's a great fucking album. I love it. Yeah. Even Meshuggah, amazing album. Personally, I rank it above Mastodon, but others might rank Mastodon. It's ridiculous. You can't do this.
Yeah. Well, it's the same in a weird way. I have the same opinion about like TV shows and movies. It's like
same.
I was watching on Twitter the other day. My buddy Luke Thomas, who's a journalist, was like bagging on The Punisher. And I love The Punisher. I thought The Punisher was fucking amazing. It's one of my favorite shows of the year. They did an amazing job on that show, but he hated it and like thought the story was stupid and dialogue was stupid. That's fine. Like, that's totally cool. Like, I'm okay with it. Like, there's a lot of shows that I don't like that I'm sure other people think are amazing. Like, everyone thought Mad Men was like the greatest show in the world. I watched like 2 episodes and I was like, I don't want to watch this. Like, I just don't get into it. You know what I mean?
Like, first season of that, I didn't get it either.
Yeah, and that's okay. Like, I've had people tell me that Game of Thrones is stupid. Now, I obviously disagree very strongly with them, but that I can't tell someone what to like. You know what I mean? Like, I can't be like, oh, you have to like Game of Thrones because I like Game of Thrones.
Yeah, it's art, man. You can't. It's like, well, there's a point. There's the other reason I hate the Grammys, because they try to put things that are not art as art. Like Taylor Swift, fucking art. You know what I mean? That's some contrived, algorithmic produced bullshit. You know what I mean? This shit ain't art, man. She didn't even write it.
Well, that's one of my biggest problems. So record of the year, like the supposedly like the record of the year, the best record of the year. Now there's a couple, a couple talented people in there. I'm not going to take away like rappers being very talented, but there's some people that get nominated. I'm just like, how is this like? I don't know, like, you know what I mean? Like, how do you consider this like, like really great? You know what I mean? Like, I understand like maybe I'm more of a rock guy, but I listen to some hip hop. You know what I mean? Like Kendrick Lamar. Like, he speaks about some shit. Like, when Eminem raps, certain people like that, you know what I mean? Like, I love Run the Jewels. Like, Run the Jewels is one of my favorite groups out there. They talk about some shit in their music. But there's some stuff that's out there, and I'm just like, what are you getting out of this? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying you shouldn't enjoy it. I'm not saying you shouldn't dance to it, or, you go to the club to shake your ass. That's cool, like, whatever, you know what I mean? But, like, don't tell me that Taylor Swift has the same level of message that I hear when I listen to like Mastodon or when I listen to like the new Foo Fighters record. You know what I mean? Like,
there's no depth, no layers, no nothing. It's just a superficial, man. Like basically anything to me. One of the biggest problems in music was anytime that many people can relate to something, like Taylor Swift or Luke Bryan or some bullshit. If there's that many people that relate to it, there's no soul in it. You know what I mean? Like, people are way too individual for that many people to relate to something. If they all relate to it like that, then they're not liking it because they relate to it. First off, but you know, if it's actually relating to that many people, then it's just completely superficial junk, and you know, I just call it fluff. It's what it is. It's fluff. You know what I mean? There's no depth to it at all. It's just it's like a bodybuilder injecting synthol. You know what I mean? There's no organic nothing there, man.
Yeah, that's like people trying to tell me like Justin Bieber's good music or something. I'm like, what? Like, that's not music. That's just noise to me. And I'm cool if you like want to bounce in your car to it, or you want to go to the club and dance to it. But like, don't tell me there's some substance. Don't tell me he's trying to tell me something. You know, he's got an important message he wants to pass along.
Yeah, that's exactly. It's not substance, right? And it's almost like. I always see sort of like it's like you go out on a date with a woman, and the first night you know everything about her, and you see completely through her soul and into her eye. You just completely read everything about her. You know, she might be hot, whatever, but she's completely shallow, right?
Yeah.
Now if it takes you a few dates and you're like, wow, like now that I get to know her, she's actually kind of cool, and the more I get to know, you know what I mean? Like, you met these kind of people where,
oh yeah,
you know, there's a lot of like very superficial people, very shallow people. You meet them, and the first time you meet them, you know everything that you need to know about them. But then there's other people. The more you get to know them, the deeper it gets, and the better it gets. And this is the same in music. You know, because music is real music, not Justin Bieber or Taylor Swift, as is referenced here. You know, real music has depth to it, man. That's what I don't know why people can't understand this. Like if you go listen to Mastodon the first time, it's not going to be the greatest album ever. But man, you actually dig into it and start understanding what they're talking about and sort of why this is the way it is, and you know, there's so much fucking depth to it. It'll blow your fucking mind. You'll have to go on a goddamn ayahuasca trip with Joe Rogan or something. Yeah.
That's funny. No, it's true though. It's like, you know, like you want not every album's gonna do that for me. You know what I mean? Like not every album hits me like that. But I remember like when I first heard a couple of the Nine Inch Nails albums, like, you know what I mean? Like some of the lyrics like Trent Reznor was dropping back, you know, not saying he's bad now, but I'm saying like when I was like a teenager, you know what I mean? Like that shit hit me on like a whole other level, like, you know what I mean? Like lyrics that have stuck with me for years, you know what I mean? And I can't say I've ever recited a Taylor Swift lyric in my head and said, man, Taylor just gets me. Taylor just, man, she understands where I'm at in my heart and my soul.
Yeah, God, you talk about a guy with some fucking layers to his music, man.
Yeah.
You know, like you could listen to a Nine Inch Nails album 10 times and hear new shit.
Yeah, Nine Inch Nails, like I say all the time, Trent Reznor is my favorite lyricist of all time. Like,
really?
I don't love every Nine Inch Nails album as much as another one, but like when I listen to their lyrics, like there's a couple songs from Nine Inch Nails that like fucking hit me harder than any song I've ever listened to. Like Wish, do you know the song Wish?
Oh yeah.
That the lyric in that song, I put my faith in God, my trust in you. Now there's nothing more fucked up I could do. Literally my favorite lyric of all time. Like that is my favorite lyric of all time.
Nice, right on.
You know?
And man, they fucking. Dude, Trent hit the nail on the head many a fucking times, especially back in the day. I think he put so much in at the beginning that there wasn't as much left to give. Maybe around, I think, you know, I'm trying to remember even the names of them. I kind of fell off a little bit, but there was like the Fragile, and then after that it kind of started falling off, I felt like. But maybe I got older too, though. Who knows?
No, I'm with you, actually. I still love Nine Inch Nails. Like, I got their last album. It was alright, you know what I mean? But, like, if you want to hear what Trent's doing that's actually good, is he does a lot of, like, movie soundtracks and shit now. Like, he just did a remix of the Halloween theme song. You know what I'm talking about? The John Carpenter Halloween theme song. Like, he did a remix of that. It's, like, 8 minutes long. It's fucking awesome. Like, it's really cool. Like, he's done a lot of instrumental stuff. Like, he's done, like, movie scores and stuff like that. So, like, I listen to a lot of that stuff when I write. Like, I'm weird when I write. I can't listen to lyrics because I get distracted. You know what I mean? So I'll put on like the Game of Thrones score, or I'll put on like some score of a movie or something, and just like have that in the background while I'm writing, because it kind of like inspires me a little bit more. And that's what Trent Reznor has some fucking awesome movie scores.
Dude, how often do you put on the Game of Thrones score though?
All the time.
Number one, right?
All the time, dude. I have all of them. I just actually just ordered a bunch of them on vinyl too. So I have like all my vinyl records, because I listen to music in my living room is all vinyl, and then my office is all on my computer. So when I'm at home and I'm just like wandering around the house or cleaning or something, I'll put on a fucking Game of Thrones soundtrack. It's awesome.
That's awesome, dude. So I gotta wonder. So exactly how did Meshuggah get on the 2017 best record? Because I was just looking, and I thought I was right, but The Violent Sleep of Reason, their last album, was 2016.
There's some weird thing with the Grammys where it's not just like a calendar year, because like Metallica got nominated too, and their album was out last year, was 2016. So there's something weird. Like the Grammy calendar isn't like just strictly like 2017, because they have a lot of people like that. I said the same thing because I saw Metallica got nominated, and I was like, hold on, that came out last year. But yeah, it's some weird thing. Like, I don't think it's like January to December. I think they have like a weirder calendar year of how they do their nomination. I hate the Grammys. Like, I brought it up to kind of make fun of it because I hate the Grammys. Like, I hate all award shows, to be honest. But like, the Grammys are out of all the award shows, the Grammys are the worst ones. Not only because it's so rarely do they actually pick like the good people. Like, I'm not trying to bag on like Yngwie Malmsteen or something like that. Like, I'm not trying to bag on like guitar guys.
Did they get a fucking Grammy?
No, but like I'm saying, like there was a couple years ago. It wasn't Yngwie. It was who was it? Fuck, maybe it was Steve Vai or some shit. I don't remember who it was. But someone had an album come out that was like, I never even knew the album came out. I don't think anyone knew the album came out, and it got nominated for a Grammy versus like there was some other album that came out that was like an epic metal album. Maybe it was like Machine Head or something. And it was like in the metal category, and I'm just like, how the fuck does this get nominated over like like Machine Head or So like this year I was shocked because Meshuggah got nominated, Mastodon got nominated, like Avenged Sevenfold got a nomination. That's their first one ever. I was like, did somebody did somebody fucking wake up and actually like give some first one ever? First one ever.
God damn, I would have thought they would have been nominated for something. They're fucking amazing.
Are you coming back to Rock on the Range next year?
Dude, I seen the lineup, and I goddamn want to. If nothing, just for Tool.
I've never seen Tool live.
You have never experienced life, then.
I've seen Perfect Circle. I've seen Pucifer. I have never seen fucking Tool. Yeah, I don't know how that's possible. I've never seen Tool.
Well,
I'm about to see him next year because I am goddamn going to that show.
It's your time, bro. Everybody has their time to see Tool. Now it's yours.
Avenged is headlining one day. Tool's headlining the day. Alice in Chains is headlining another, but it's not really Alice in Chains to me. But I still love Alice in Chains. It's just it's not Lane Staley, so it's not quite Alice in Chains. But I'll go see him. And there's a lot of other bands too playing that. Like they got a really fucking good lineup for Rock on the Range this year.
It's pretty good. So I'll be there if I can. Number one to see Tool.
Yeah, dude. When I saw that,
I've seen them before. I've seen Avenged before. I've never seen Alice in Chains, but man, I could see Tool 1,000 fucking times. But seeing them outdoors in a gigantic place like that, I wonder how that's going to be because I've only seen them in arenas. So
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see how that is.
Have you met Maynard before? Yeah.
We hung out the last time they came to Denver. We hung out for a couple hours. He was a little bit sick, but so he was kind of chill and didn't want to hang out too much. But yeah, we hung out for a little while. He's a really, really cool guy.
I know he's big into jiu-jitsu and stuff because I saw he was out there. Like I know he trained with he was out there with Condit not too long ago. He was out in New Mexico training because he has his own like wine company in Arizona, I think, doesn't he? Like something like that. Like his own winery in Arizona. And I know he was out in Colorado or out in New Mexico training with Condit. I think it was Condit, rolling with Condit. I know he trained with Kaz Zingano out in Colorado at one point too, out there. So I know he's a big, kind of like our buddy Zoltan Bathory from Five Finger Death Punch. He's big into jiu-jitsu. I know Maynard's like real big into jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, I think he's a purple belt actually. So
you ever rolled with him?
Never rolled with him. I invited him, but I imagine, you know how it is, man. Like, you just come in town, you got to do a show and everything. You're not trying to go roll with people you don't really roll with.
Yeah. Do you get starstruck? Like, do you ever get fucking starstruck? Because like when I met Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine, like in my head, like I was cool and calm and composed, like on the outside, but inside my fucking head, I was going nuts. I was like, I'm meeting Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine right now. Like, I definitely got starstruck.
I feel like I have been, but I can't really think of who it was, so maybe I wasn't. It wasn't much of a memory. I think the closest I ever was when me and my wife went to Rock in Rio, and we were on stage with Metallica, and not like backstage watching, like literally on stage while they're playing.
Yeah.
I mean, like the crowd seeing us, and we waving to the crowd and shit, and James Hetfield playing his guitar right in front of my face, looking at me. You know what I mean? It's like that to me. I wouldn't say starstruck, but I was kind of like, damn, like this is what it's like. You know what I mean? When you're a fucking rock god, because that's not, Metallica's not, they're not these bands we've been talking about. They are like literally gods of rock. So
there's like a few bands. It's like meeting Metallica or like fucking like Iron Maiden or bands that have been around and doing it for fucking 30 years. You know what I mean? Like, there's just certain bands you would like that have had that longevity because it's rare. You know what I mean? Like, Metallica is like one of the most iconic bands of all time.
Of all time, for sure. And
it's funny. I was at. Do you remember when Clay Guida fought Gray Maynard? Do you remember that fight? It was awful.
Fought on the same card.
That's right. You fought what's his name? Fucking Brazilian kid, right?
Yep. Luis Ramos.
Oh, so yeah, Luis Ramos. So I was at that fight card. I know I saw you there. I was sitting in media row. James Hetfield was there. Did you know that?
I did not.
James Hetfield was sitting cage side for that entire fucking card, and I asked the UFC PR guy, my buddy Dave Schaller, I'm calling him out on this because now he works for the Philadelphia 76ers, but I was on media row, and James Hetfield was sitting like maybe 15 feet away from me, maybe 15, 20 feet away from me, and I've gone to a lot of UFC shows, and I've seen a lot of celebrities, like sitting within like, I could throw a bottle and fucking hit him, they were that close. But I never go that far, like, ask to meet anybody. It's not my place. I'm there to cover the fights. Like, I'm trying to be a professional. But that was one time where I was like, is there any chance of just, like, shaking James Hetfield's hand? And he's like, I don't think I can make it happen. And then as soon as the Guida Maynard fight was over, I saw James kind of get rushed out of there. Because it was, if you remember, it was in a casino. It was like an arena inside a casino. And so I'm sitting on my computer, and James comes right by me, and I was too slow to like get a picture or anything. But I was so bummed because I was like, I'm this close to meeting one of my fucking all-time like musician idols, and I didn't get to meet him. I was so bummed.
Well, man, your life just sucks, huh?
I know. You fought in front of him and didn't even know it. I
had no fucking idea. I met Anthony Kiedis after I fought Robbie Lawler, and that was a cool one, man. But I just lost, so I was kind of not really in a mindset of meeting people, and I kind of didn't give a shit. But if I met Anthony again, I'd probably be like a little more starstruck, I guess. I don't know. Like Maynard, I may have been a little starstruck if it wasn't such an intimate environment. I mean, I went to his hotel. You know what I mean? Like, he invited me to his hotel. I went there. We hung out in the lobby and just chilled. Like we were over in a little corner. It was me and like 3 other guys, and it was like me and you sitting here talking now, or just having a beer with your buddy. So
yeah,
it was almost just too much of a intimate environment to actually get starstruck.
I think it's one of those things where it's like, in a situation like that, you kind of think about it more afterwards, where you're just like, hold on, I just sat for like 2 hours and just fucking chill with Maynard James Keenan. You know what I mean? Like, you realize that maybe after it's over, like, that's pretty fucking cool that I got to do that, like.
Yeah, it'll be 20 years from now when I'm still listening to Tool, and I'm like, man, Tool's fucking amazing. Or if they ever come out with another album, and I'll be like, yeah, I used to chill with that guy. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'd say kicking it with Zoltan might have been one of the more starstruck moments, and I've talked to him a few times since, but not really like. Every time I talk, he's I wouldn't say starstruck. That's such a tough term. Is when I talk to him, I get a little nervous.
Yeah.
Like, man, I hope he thinks I'm cool or something. You know what I mean?
I'm happy to say that's an introduction I made. I'm glad to say that that's an introduction I made for you.
But I've seen him at a couple of fights since, and we were sitting next to each other, and you know.
He's a nice guy. He's a good dude. Really big fight fan. That's literally how I got to know him. He's just a fight fan. Like, that's how I got to know him.
Oh yeah, and very 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 well spoken, very intelligent guy, man. If you listen to him on Josta's podcast, pretty recently, maybe a couple months ago, he really got into depth into some of his sort of political philosophies. He came from a communist country and went through, a lot of stuff, man, and it's really pretty deep and it's pretty good.
I remember the last time I saw someone and got kind of starstruck. So you remember a few months ago, me and Loper, which by the way, shout out to our boy Loper, is recovering from shoulder surgery right now. I saw him on Monday. He was feeling kind of rough. So shout out to Loper, who's recovering from shoulder surgery. But we went and did the podcast with Josta on the Hatebreed tour bus, which is pretty awesome. Like, it was pretty cool to like sit on the tour bus and do the podcast. But I met Josta before, and I'm like, a huge fan. We did the podcast with Josta. We did the podcast with me, you, and Loper and Josta before. But we were coming down and we were going inside the Newport here in Columbus, which you know where I'm talking about. And so we're going in kind of like the backstage area when they're doing a meet and greet. So we're walking back and we stop for a second. And Howard Jones is outside. And Howard Jones, singer from Killswitch Engage, fucking Blood for Blood, yeah. So he's standing out there, and we're just chit-chatting for him for a minute, and he's a big fight fan as well, so we, shook hands with him, and then we go inside. It was like a 2-second, literally 2-second thing, and we go inside. And, afterwards, I'm standing there, and I was just like, holy fuck, I just met Howard Jones. I was, literally geeking out in my head, because, he's one of my all-time favorite metal singers. And I was just like, holy shit, that just happened. I was just, standing next to Howard Jones.
That's funny, man. Yeah,
he's fucking awesome, dude. He's one of my favorite singers. I love Killswitch Engage with the old singer, the new singer who's back. But dude, nothing will ever beat Howard Jones singing for Killswitch Engage. That was one of my favorite bands during that period. That 3-4 albums they put out. Dude, Howard Jones is the man. I love him.
Yeah, they're fucking on point, man. I couldn't agree more, man.
Have you heard that? Have you heard the new Machine Head song that's out?
I have. Beyond the Pale.
And?
There's going to be another good album from Machine Head.
Yeah.
Machine Head, man, they always do great music. They had a short run there of...
I know what you're talking about.
And that's where that's probably why you just now asked me, what do you think, right? Because...
Yep.
Without those couple of albums, they were Supercharger, the Red thing or something about Red. Whatever. You take out those couple albums and you don't even ask me that question. You say there's a new Machine Head. Fuck yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Right? But you put those in there and you're kind of like, what do you think about the new Machine Head, bro?
Do you remember when that Red album came out and they put out that one song that was kind of like a radio hit for them and they did a video? Do you remember that video? Do you remember the fucking video?
He was dressed like Korn.
Yeah, he had fucking Adidas outfit on. I was like, what the fuck is going on right now? Rob Flynn does not wear fucking Adidas outfits. This is the weirdest shit ever. And he had dreads. Do you remember he had the dreadlocked hair or whatever? I was like, what is going on right now?
I remember very well because that was if I remember right, I just gotten into Machine Head right before that.
Because I think that was their third or fourth album, right? Because they had the first 2 or 3... that were obviously real hardcore, and I think that was the third or fourth album they put out, because I remember I heard about them, I think on their second album. I didn't hear about them on their first album. I heard about them on their second album, and maybe it's their fourth album is that Red one, and I was just like, what the fuck is this? I was like, what happened? I was like, this isn't the same. I was like, this isn't the same band. Yeah,
that was their third album. Yeah, because that was right. The More Things Change was their second album, which was the one that got me into them. And then they had the Burning Red and then Supercharger. Yeah, and that's exactly... But, man, they sure... I'm just looking at them in order here. Burn My Eyes, which was what really just blew them up, and fuck, dude, what a great album. Still great today. The More Things Change, great album. And then, like you said, they kind of went off track with the Burning Red Charger, and you're kind of like, oh, I don't know about these guys anymore. Hey, man, you know, Josta on his podcast has talked a lot to some of these guys about, specifically, I remember his conversation with Matt Heafy from Trivium, and a lot of people talk about how they softened up and this and that, but man, you can't hate a band for doing what they do. It's not selling out. They're trying to reach a broader audience and get their message out.
Dude, it's funny. It's funny you say that. I just bought a Trivium shirt like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, Trivium's amazing, man.
Yeah, I love Trivium. People say that about Avenged Sevenfold too, though. You know what I mean? They say Avenged Sevenfold sold out. And I'm like, dude, like, I love their second album. Like, their first album is like an EP, but they're not the EP. The second album, second full length album is like my favorite Avenged Sevenfold record. What's that?
The Screamo.
The Waking the Fallen. Their second.
I mean, the Screamo style.
Yeah. Well, no, but like, when they kind of started to morph into what they are today. You know what I mean? Like, it was like their first album where they kind of did, like, City of Evil came out, and then they blew up because of Backcountry. Yep. You know what I mean? But, like, I still love that record, and, like, it pisses me off that everyone's like, they sold out. I was like, dude, how do you, like, if they're making the music that they want to make, you know what I mean? Like, how can you say they're selling out if that's what they want to make? Like, Machine Head doing that one album, I truly, truly believe that was a record producer or that was a fucking record exec saying, let's cash in on this fucking Korn and Limp Bizkit. And
it was kind of two albums, though.
Kind of, but the fact that you can, if you listen to the first two albums and then you listen to anything they've done recently, you would not, if I played the Burning Red album for you and you didn't know, like, the sound of Rob Flynn's voice, like, if you heard that album and you never heard it before, you would not think that's Machine Head. Like, you would not in any way, shape, or form feel like that's them. You know what I mean? Like, I can listen.
It really wasn't. I mean, when you look at the Machine Head's body of work, those two albums really they're not Machine Head.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they sidetracked, and then again, I'm just looking at the order of all their albums here, and they came back after that. Well, they had a live album, but then they did Through the Ashes of Empires, which to me, that and The Blackening was their best albums, and especially Through the Ashes of Empires. That's my favorite album they ever did. And
I think they switched labels. I think that was part of it too. Because I think The Burning Red was like a major label release. Like they got on like a major label like Warner Brothers or some shit, and then they got off of that and went back to like, I don't know what they're on now. Was it Nuclear Blast or they're on like fucking Epitaph? I can't remember what album they're on or what label they're on now. But they got onto like a regular like metal label and they went back to who they were. You know what I mean? Like, but the thing is, like, dude, when you're a musician, like everyone says, sell out, dude. Like when you're a musician and this is your dream to be a musician, dude, you got to make money. You know, like I get it. You know, like I'm not gonna fault somebody for like making money and like, you know what I mean, like. That's like saying, like, you know, the thing with Avenged Sevenfold is pissing me off. They're like, they started making radio hits. Good. Their albums are going to sell. They're going to stick around. I want more Avenged Sevenfold records. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want them to go away because I can't fucking afford to play music.
And that's actually just happened to a band, a great band called Allegiant here, actually out of Denver. Man, check them out if you like sort of technical death metal, but God, they're just a fucking amazing band. And there's a lot of bands in that genre that succeed and do very well, right? Like there's, you know what I mean? They're not, it's not like they're not succeeding because of their talent. They're not succeeding because they won't sell out, right? Because they're holding true to what they do. And they do it very fucking well. But they're not making any money doing it.
Yeah,
they did a whole thing on YouTube, and they did a GoFundMe and all. Like they were on the road, and they ran out of money. And they're like, you know, if you guys want to watch us, you know, perform a few more times, you know, you got to send us some money because we don't have no gas money, and their van's breaking down and all this and that. So, but God, I mean, you want to talk about one of the. I mean, I'd put them up there with any death metal band in the world. I mean, they're you know, it's sort of melodic death metal, right? You know, sort of the Arch Enemy would be the most mainstream probably in that genre, but I mean, these guys are amazing. So
I may be making this up because I read a lot of stories, but I feel like, and somebody can message me on Twitter some if I'm wrong, but I feel like that's one of the reasons why Dillinger Escape Plan quit, because they were just like, they weren't making a lot of money, and they were getting regular jobs and shit, and so they stopped touring. But Dillinger Escape Plan is like one of my all-time favorites too, especially live. Like, they put on a fucking killer concert. But if I remember correctly, like, one of the reasons they decided to like call it a career as far as like being a band was because they just couldn't afford it anymore. Like, they just they weren't making enough money to really justify it. And I think a couple guys in the band had jobs, like regular jobs, and like they just couldn't take time off. I think it was Dillinger Escape Plan. I remember they did like a farewell tour, and I remember seeing them on the farewell tour. I'm pretty sure I remember them being in the band. Like, two guys had jobs, and they just they're like, we can't afford to do it anymore. Like, we gotta quit. Like, I think it was them.
that sounds very familiar. Actually, I think you're actually right on that. I want to say, I know there's been a hardcore band or two that's had that same thing. I want to say Converge comes to mind. I'm not sure why, but
yeah, Converge.
This isn't an uncommon thing. I mean, there's not a huge demand for certain genres of music, and these guys, they want to stay true to their art.
That's why like, I know it sounds like an advertisement, but in all seriousness, dude, if you like a band, dude, support them. Go out and see them in concert, buy their fucking t-shirt, like, make sure you buy their album, don't fucking steal it from the internet, like, because, like, dude, I just saw Foo Fighters, like, a month ago in concert. They put on a fucking 3-hour show in Cincinnati, and it was amazing. Like, Foo Fighters is one of my favorite bands, one of my favorite live bands. They put on a killer show. But Dave Grohl's not going to be hurting for money anytime soon. Like, that dude's worth like $80 million. He ain't going to be hurting for money anytime soon. But, like, a band like, Dillinger Escape Plan or, whatever, like, bands like that, like, dude, I always try to support them. Like, I go to their show. Like, I'm going to see this alt-country guy called the White Buffalo next week in Cleveland.
Yeah, he is. He's a great musician.
Yeah, dude, he's awesome. But he's, real small, just, very, not, kind of a niche artist. He had songs on, like, Sons of Anarchy and shit, but it's not like he blew up or anything. And he's playing in Cleveland next week, and I'm going up to see him in Cleveland, and it's like, dude, I'll buy a t-shirt, I'll buy a fucking, some buttons, whatever, because it's like, at least I can support him a little bit, because, like, if you could know how many fucking hours I've spent listening to his records, like, how many hours I've spent, like, just, listening to the lyrics of his records. Dude, I wrote a fucking, this is, like, completely off topic. I started writing a spec script for a movie based on one of his albums. Like, that's how much his music has inspired me. So if I can buy a fucking t-shirt to support that dude so he can continue to tour and continue to make music, I'll do it.
What is a spec script?
Like, basically just started writing a script. Like, basically just started writing a script, like an outline of a script. Like, I started writing a story of an outline of a script for a movie that, I never really
do it.
What's that?
What happened to it, bro?
I just haven't had time to finish it. I started working on it about 2 years ago, and I just life, dude, work, fights, and Nerdcore Movement keeps me pretty busy. Between Nerdcore Movement and all the stuff I write, I just don't have a lot of free time to do a lot of creative stuff outside of that. But when I find time again, I'll get back to it. But I started writing it, I got about 30 pages deep, and really got into it. Had a good storyline, kind of plotted out for it. But yeah, like that's like that dude inspired me. You know what I mean? Like his music inspired me to write, and it's like if I can buy that guy if I can buy a t-shirt from that guy, or buy tickets to his concert and go see him, like I want that guy to keep making music, because every time he puts out an album, I'm fucking blown away.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard being a nerd, bro. I get it.
You're secretly blowing up the guitar at home. I see you playing guitar. I know.
Nah, I jam it out as much as I can, bro. My kids are obsessed with Mastodon nowadays, so I think I'm going to end up having to learn the whole new album.
That's the kind of problems you want as a dad. If your kids are like, "Dad, can you play us that new Mastodon record?"
Yeah, he's kind of pissed. Like, my one son is obsessed with the song Steam Breather, and he's really pissed at me that I haven't picked it up yet and played it. And it's a really simple song to play, too. I could probably take me 20 minutes, but long story short, I haven't done it. So it's
I can play one song on guitar. That's it. And play one song. And play Nothing Else Matters by Metallica.
I was close.
You were close. I do Nothing Else Matters. That's the only song I can play on guitar. Literally the only song I can play on guitar.
Everybody. How old are you, Damon?
I'm 40.
Yeah, okay. So everybody from our generation, their first metal, like that inspired them to be deep into metal was the Black Album,
Yep.
or say maybe Injustice for All. Like one was the one that got me.
And Justice for me was the first time I heard Harvester of Sorrow. I was fucking hooked.
Okay, I literally remember the moment that I first heard metal, and I was on the bus. I think I was in like third grade, and my dude was doing the tapping his hands to the beat from one. And I was like, what the fuck is that? Like, all I ever heard was country and oldies and whatever kind of, grandma shit my parents were playing. And yeah, ever since I was hooked, man, I said, give me that fucking cassette tape, bro. I got to take that home. And I think I recorded it, from one cassette to the other, and the rest is history.
I remember Metallica was that, and then the band that got me like really into music, like really made me like a fan of music was Pearl Jam 10. Like I remember listening to Pearl Jam 10 the first time, and I was like, fuck yeah, like that got me into like really being like a music person. Like that was like the one, because I was in high school, and I was like, right out of like I was like I want to say I was like a freshman or sophomore in high school when that came out. So I was like hardcore into music after 10 came out. Like that's when I really got deep into it.
See, I was such a douche in high school, man, where, well, I don't know if I say douche, maybe, but like Pearl Jam, Nirvana, all that shit was popular, and I was like, y'all are a bunch of pussies, man. Y'all need to get the Machine Head was one, Emperor, fucking, Metallica. Well, they pussed out by high school. Well, back then it was called pussing out. Now, Cannibal Corpse, you know what I mean? I was like, y'all care about Nirvana still? Like, it's fucking Cannibal Corpse is where it's at, bro.
Give me some 6 Feet Under, bro.
6 Feet Under, love fucking 6 Feet Under, man. Love it.
Did you have long hair back in high school?
I was never a long hair guy. I've always had short hair.
Yeah. I see some pictures, dude.
Like here's, man, I got some embarrassing shit, bro. Like I started to grow my hair out, and I was in that awkward stage where it's starting to get long, but there's not really a lot you can do with it to make it look good. And that's when I got my senior pictures, and I was like a fucking idiot, man.
Dude, I will pay money. I will seriously send you money if you will send me that senior picture. We can put it up. We can put it up on the internet, dude. I will pay money. I guarantee we'll start a GoFundMe page to release Matt Brown's senior picture.
That'd be a lot of money. Like, take that.
I'm telling you. Oh my God! Now I want to see it. I'm gonna message Colleen. I'm gonna message her and be like, "Hey, can you do me a favor and dig around the house and find this picture?"
So I'll tell you some secrets. So I was the laziest motherfucker. I was just such an awkward stage. Like, you don't realize that you really need to shave, but you kind of do. But I was only growing a mustache.
Oh man!
So kind of had a little porn stash here and there. The hair was like a little too long, but not long enough to look cool. I had a unibrow that was like.
Oh man!
I mean, it was just awkward from fucking top to bottom, man.
Dude, I gotta see this picture. I got it. Like, there's gotta be a way.
Looking back, I'm like, it's no wonder I didn't get laid. I mean, I got pissed at my mom. Where were you at, Mom? Why weren't you telling me? If you want to get a fucking woman, you gotta get rid of the unibrow, bro. Like, where was my mom here?
Oh my God, dude, we gotta find that picture. I'm telling you. What high school did you go to? Can I contact?
The only reason that I'm willing to tell you is because I know that the picture will never be released from the grips of my cold fucking dead hand.
Dude, you think I'm joking? I know where you went to high school. I will fucking find that high school and find that yearbook. You think I'm kidding? You're from Ohio. I'm from Ohio, dude. I'll track that shit down. I'll do some detective work on that.
I look at you as a friend, Damon. Don't fuck that up.
Oh my God! Now see, I feel like there's gonna have to be I'm telling you, we're gonna start a GoFundMe page, get people to donate to get Matt Brown to release his senior picture.
Well, I'll be down to let you see it because you're my friend.
I won't release it anywhere, but now I'm desperate to see this picture.
Yeah. I mean, I'll just show it to you. I don't care. I mean.
Oh, man. All right, we'll get out of here for tonight. We got fights coming up this weekend. I'm heading out to Detroit. You're heading out to LA. We'll be back. We're going to do a show next week, right?
Yeah, let's do it, man.
We got Cub Swanson fight next weekend and some good fights next weekend. I think there's a fight card every weekend except like the weekend of Christmas, I think, for the rest of the year, if I'm not mistaken.
That's a Merry Christmas for me.
keeping busy on the podcast. Well, we're back rolling with the podcast now. We're going to do it every week. Obviously, I'm excited about that. Show wasn't the same without you, so we're going to keep rolling with the podcast now. Always good. Make sure you follow us on Facebook. We got a Facebook page. Just look it up, Fight Society Podcast. Make sure you follow Matt at I Am The Immortal. I'm at Damon Martin, and we'll see you guys next week. Enjoy the fights this weekend, and I'll go out, since I went in the wrong way, Matt. I'll go out the right way with the right song here today, okay?